Hello everyone. Welcome to IESE's MBA Career Insider webinar series. And in this topic, we're going to discuss about energy. And luckily, we have with us two alumni of IESE MBA, namely Ravi and Gabriela, who will be also telling them their journey about going into the energy sector and having been able to go through this with IESE and their experience, and so that you can learn from it. And hopefully, at the end of this webinar, we can accommodate your questions and you can ask them. So before we begin, I would like to remind you to please mute your microphones and disable your camera. Okay, so just for those who just came in, don't forget to do this. Otherwise, it will distract the presenters and the rest of the audience. Now, again, this is our third webinar series, and later on we will have the consumer goods. But I will not take any more time. Let's call in our alumnus, Ravi, as first, and later on Gabriela, who will be presenting their stories. So Ravi, here we go.
Thanks, Karen. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Perfect.
Good.
Yes.
Welcome to the webinar. Thank you for being here with us.
Thanks. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this webinar. Thanks, Karen. Thanks, guys. Back at IESE, always a pleasure to be here. So, my part of the presentation, so it's sort of three parts. So I'll quickly give a brief intro about myself, followed by an intro about the Energy Club at IESE, and the activities that more or less take place on a yearly basis, done by the club, and finally some thoughts on the club itself, the activities, and how we think that it might be helpful for you, for those who are interested in pursuing a career in energy. Okay. Right, so quick introduction about me. Did some education stuff back in India. I started from there, and then Sweden, where I did my master's, a professional doctorate in the Netherlands, again in engineering and specifically in applied physics. And after that, worked as a nuclear consultant at a nuclear reactor, also in the Netherlands. Well, it was about 8 years. Initial part very much focused into R&D. Second half of that part of my career focused into the commercial operations, which is when I thought, okay, I need some proper way of getting into this business side. Which is when I decided to do an MBA and was fortunate enough to be admitted into IESE. As of course, a lot of us might tell you, it has been a completely career-changing experience, self-discovery, if I may add. So more on that later and on a separate occasion, but in one word, no, absolutely great experience. So completely recommended to each and every one of you. So this is where I graduated 2018, class of 2018, and currently I have a two-part job. One is a full-time job as a project manager in a biotech company called Biokit, based in Barcelona. And on the other side, I've also co-founded a healthcare, a medtech startup called Smiletronics, which is into dental care. Actually was incorporated as part of the MBA. So myself and my co-founders, we are from the same class at MBA, and we co-founded the company together. So I'm part-time involved in the company as well. So yeah, that's about me. Go to the next slide. Yeah, so about the Energy Club. To start with, back in 2017 to 2018, I was the president of the club. So usually the second years take the leadership roles. As you see, it's one of the largest clubs at IESE, and just to mention that similar to any other club at IESE, this is completely student run. So all the clubs would be student-run. You would have a leadership team that plans, organizes, and takes decisions, and of course rolls things out. We are about 500 club members and increasing. I mean, this stat belongs to maybe a year ago, so it might be quite a bit more. At the time when I was the president, we had 8 officers who are dedicated to the club. So it was me, and then there were 7 other VPs, and together we would then run the club. We had an advisory board because we are dealing with one of the major sectors out there. It was really important that we had real professionals from industry helping us out, making sure that the events and the activities and the objectives that we set out are in the correct path and are representative of the trends that the energy sector is currently undergoing, so that we are not too outdated or not too ambitious. So just to define the right path for us. As you see, at the time when I was the president, we had 3 advisors, 1 each from the companies that you see over here. When of course it's World Economic Forum. One is an environmental consultancy based in London, and the third one is a Dutch development bank called FMO. They were already 2 to 3 years into this advisory board, so each year we would be having 1 or 2 advisory board meetings where we would define our strategy. Right, and luckily we had and we still have corporate sponsors, which means we would have economic benefits and branding benefits as well, as you might imagine, which means that there are a few clubs at the school that have the luxury of being able to have a budget and being able to spend on several activities. So this kind of increases the value proposition to the other students in the school. And also if you're organizing things like trips or treks, that might come in handy. Also in terms of corporate sponsorship, which means that for activities like mini capstones or projects in another scope, which I will present you in a moment, we would get a lot of support from them. Okay. So this is a quick overview of the sort of activities that the Energy Club would undertake. Of course, these might change depending on the leadership team that is overseeing the activities, but give or take, this gives a pretty good idea of what we do, of what we've been doing and what we will do. So as you see, the academic year would start in September, and as you already start, so the second year who is in charge of the leadership team would already start planning in some of the activities, like some sort of seminars and energy hours, where we would at least in my year, in the intensive seminar, we had sessions where we would invite students who have had their internships in the energy sectors or in the energy companies to give a brief talk on their experiences, what was required for them in terms of expertise and experience, and what has contributed to their success, what were their learnings and hints, tips, etc. Also, we also conducted some sort of CV check sessions, in which also the same panel would go through the CVs of the students who are interested in pursuing energy as their career, to have a look at their CV from the perspective of, let's say, energy companies, and give some sort of feedback on how they could actually fine-tune their CVs if required, of course, so that they are relatively attractive to the energy companies. In the energy hours, which took place once in the current year and one in the following year, we would invite guest speakers from various sectors. Sometimes it would be the traditional companies, sometimes it would be even startups. So just to give a mix of perspectives on how the energy sector is being currently shaped by various factors. Also in January, we have had this energy competition where we would have energy startups as our guests, and we would have teams of students, which is not just a mix of people who are club members of energy, but also from finance and consulting clubs and people interested in those, because this is a nice way of doing due diligence, which is the requirement of this particular event, that these student teams would do due diligence and act as sort of representatives of PE and VC firms in evaluating those startups and do all the negotiations, term sheets, etc. And all these activities would be judged by actual PE and VCs that we also invite from various companies. So it's a nice event that brings together not just people from energy, but also people who are interested in the financial sector, just to get some hands-on experience on how to do due diligences, do some negotiations, etc. Sorry. Besides this, we have had site visits where, as the name suggests, we would actually go and visit companies in and around Barcelona. That's the criteria. I mean, we would not really go out of Barcelona. So of course, there are a number of companies, both small size, mid, and large. Think about Schneider's and Siemens and Naturgy. We're also Gabriela, who is our next speaker, is going to talk about, and also visit the sites, not just to get some experience, but also to engage in networking, because that's the most important thing. If you would ask me why I did my MBA, I would really rate networking as the really the best value that I was able to squeeze out from my MBA, and I would absolutely recommend this to everyone. So this gives all these opportunities for the students to actually engage with people from those companies. And besides all this, we would have two flagship events that, irrespective of the other events, would definitely take place each and every year. So one is an energy trek, and the other is a global energy day. Energy trek is also comparable to other treks, so all the other major clubs also have their treks. We would just visit usually, and at least in my time, we visited London, and then we did a tour of 3 days visiting several companies, again engaging with the people over there, with the management, HR, students asking questions, trying to understand their requirements to get into their sectors, the challenges faced, etc. Global Energy Day, again, is a major event, a huge flagship event that is organized at IESE, again by the club, where we would have, again, the one full day of lots of panels and keynote speeches, and then we invite a lot of guests for these events. We also started an energy course in 2017, where you would also have the possibility to do capstone projects, again with actual companies working on actual projects, to get hands-on experience. It also lets the companies get a good insight of the kind of students and the kind of quality that we have over at IESE. Just a couple of examples. So back in 2017, when we did the energy trek, we went to London, as I mentioned, and these were some of the companies that we visited. As you see, a plethora of sectors, not just focused on energy. For example, BCG as consulting firm, but then we would be engaging with the energy practice of the consulting firm. And finally, the Global Energy Day that I said that took place in 2018. Our theme was very focused. It was demand growth, decarbonization, and digitization, which kind of covers everything or the major factors that are shaping up the energy sector in this current era. And to cover these topics, we invited guests who were doing panel sessions and keynote speeches from these companies. I think that's my part. Just to conclude, I would say yes. I mean, it takes a lot of effort because, as I said, it's a student-run one, so you're not just taking care of your MBA requirements, your day-to-day stuff, but also entirely putting your efforts on this. But then with the objective that you are creating an impact not just for yourself, but also for your co-students. And this, I say, is one of the best essences of ESA. You know, the whole part of not just creating but also sharing the impact. That said, I think, Karen, that's the end of my part. Thanks for everyone.
All right. Thank you, Ravi. I think we will come back to you for people who might have some questions. And if the audience does have questions, please chat it into the chat box you will see at the bottom corner, and we will receive it and ask Ravi and Gabriela at the end of the panel. And now we welcome Gabriela, who will be presenting next. And here we are. Hi, Gabriela.
And thank you for your time. So my case is completely different to the one of Ravi. I would share with you a little bit about me. So my name is Gabriela. I'm Spanish. I live in Madrid, and I'm currently working at Naturgy, a former Gas Natural Fenosa. Prior to the MBA, well, I did a bachelor's degree in advertising and public relations, and after my university, I moved to Paris to do a master in luxury management. Before the MBA, I had almost 6 years of professional experience working in very different industries. So as you can see, I worked in art and culture, advertising, and fashion, okay? So prior to the MBA, any energy industry experience at all. Then I decided in 2015 to do the MBA, which happened to be one of the best decisions of my life. Why an MBA? Well, first of all, because I wanted to broaden my knowledge. I wanted to have a holistic view of business, and I wanted to treat business problems from different points of view. And obviously, well, do a lot of networking, meet people from all over the world with different perspectives, different backgrounds, experiences, and so on. So it was, well, obviously related with my background. During the MBA, I was very involved in the retail, luxury, and fashion club, and I was also a very active member in the marketing club. So my initial idea was to, let's say, to focus my career towards the retail industry. Well, the MBA, that's one of the good things about the MBA. It opens your mind and the spectrum of possibilities 100%, no? And it was exactly my case. I had the chance, after doing like different processes in different companies, in different industries, I had the opportunity to enroll the summer internship at Naturgy. And this was my first experience in the energy industry. So I did my internship in the Barcelona headquarters. And well, I really liked the experience. I enrolled the company, well, the energy industry, mainly for one reason, because I had the curiosity to learn about new industries, to to see what it was to work for the energy industry. It's an industry with a high level of impact in the environment and in society, and I thought that it was a good moment to start there because it's an industry that is currently evolving very fast, very dynamic, and in constant change. So there were lots of opportunities to embrace. No? So post-MBA, as I told you before, currently I'm working at Naturgy since September 2017. And I've joined the rotational program. This was one of my objectives while finishing the MBA. I wanted to join a rotational program because I wanted to have the opportunity to see, to see different units, different departments, different ways of working. Let's say to have a holistic view of the company. And so far I've had the chance to work for 1 year in the corporate side. Currently I'm working in the business side. And right now I'm at the end of my second rotation. I'm in the new business development business unit in the free market side. And in September I will join a fixed position. I don't know yet when, where, or in which position I will end up, but I will know about it in the next month. So very exciting. As I told you before, these are, the reasons why I decided to move into this industry. Basically, the reason also why I decided to join at that time Gas Natural Fenosa, nowadays Naturgy, was because I did lots of informative interviews with alumni, with friends of mine who joined the company after the MBA. And for me, this was the best source of information that I could have. They told me from a very honest point of view what were the pros and cons about joining the company, but all of them at the end told me that it's a company that provides you lots of opportunities to develop yourself as a professional. It's a company that see the real value of an MBA, and for me this was the most important part. This is one of the key learnings and one of the recommendations I can give you. Do as many informative interviews as you can with alumni, with people who did other MBAs, or who are working in the companies you are looking for or are your dream job. This is a very, very helpful and an important source of information. And last but not least, let's talk a little bit more in depth about the energy industry and concretely about the trends that are driven right now the sector. All of you, if you are interested in energy, which I'm sure you are, right now we are immersed in an energy transition. Globally, in every single country of the world, okay? And this global energy transition is driven by three trends that I would call the 3Ds, as you can see here: digitalization, decarbonization, and decentralization, okay? And these trends are illustrated by trends of innovation issues, including storage, decentralization, alternative transport, renewables, and the integration of new technologies and of renewables, okay, in the new system. All of these trends are within the climate framework. What I want to say about the climate, what do I mean with the climate framework? So nowadays, since some years ago, but nowadays more than ever, mitigating climate change has become a priority at the global level, but in my case, I'm working for a Spanish company, I'm based in Spain. It has become a priority in the European energy agenda, okay? This has been for a while, okay? But the measures and the policies that the governments are taking right now, and not only at the European level, but also at national level, are being key to set the long-term objectives and signals that are needed to advance towards this energy transition. Okay, climate change is considered right now the main priority and the main challenge, not only for energy industry but for in general the whole society. No? And so this is always at the core of discussions for Spain's energy leaders, okay? And in the case of Naturgy, obviously, all the strategic lines are based not only in economical criteria, but also in sustainable criteria, okay? We are very committed on reducing the dioxide carbon in the atmosphere, okay? And in the last year, to give you a number, data, in the last year, Naturgy has reduced 10.8% the carbon dioxide, okay? So this is about the climate framework, and the consumer. The consumer is always at the center of every single process. Okay, consumers are becoming the center of energy systems. Decentralization. With decentralization, what I want to mean. Nowadays, consumers are becoming prosumers. They are consumers of energy, but also they are the ones who are producing it, who are generating it, okay? So traditional market design is under pressure right now to reform it and to respond to challenges that are related to incorporating the growing decentralization movement, okay? Decarbonization, well, I already explained the need to fight against the climate change. So all the legislative framework is going towards this direction. And digitalization, well, we need to become a more agile company, a more agile organization. We need to put the consumer at the center of every single process. And we need, well, digitalization to meet their needs and interests, okay? So these are basically the trends currently going on. There are obviously many other aspects that are important, but I would, as a summary, I would say that this is like the three key trends: consumer in the center of every single process, and the center of the system, basically, and climate framework, climate change always guiding every step both government and companies are taking to advance in this energy transition. If you have any questions or doubts, I will be more than happy to answer them. And for any further questions, you can also get my email, and we will be able to have a chat later on. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Gabriela. Now let's invite the two to be able to answer a few questions. So we have some questions from the participants, and I'm going to put a few of them together. So for both Ravi and Gabriela, let's say one of you is very energy focused from the beginning of the MBA, and that's Ravi. And Gabriela, you discovered your path going into energy through the MBA and speaking to a lot of people. So like both of you, there's a representative of this crowd listening to you right now of the two types, and even going to the MBA, someone who's industry focused and another who actually finds their way. So could you give 2 points of advice for people who were in your shoes? Gabby, maybe you can start this time, and then Ravi to follow.
You mean how did I do it? Like which steps I took, or?
Exactly. So for me, how did you, I mean, you already touched on a bit, but what are your two key advices for people who are not, who have not looked into energy, and for you, you're someone who actually discovered this industry through your
Yeah.
internship. So what would you advise yourself at the beginning, having gone through all this process of search?
Well, as I told you during my presentation, curiosity led my way, let's say, no? This is a sentence that can be a summary for the path I decided to follow. So I was at first very focused on retail industry, but I also at the same time I wanted to open myself to other opportunities, right? So I did, on the one hand, a lot of informative interviews. I went to all of the career fairs to see different companies, and after the different fairs, I was talking with one, with the other, you know, like asking questions, meeting with people for coffee. You know, I was like very open to get to know about things that I didn't know, and industries I didn't know, and companies I didn't know. That's one of the best opportunities that that the MBA provides you. So embrace this kind of of opportunities that you will have during these 18 months, and obviously after also, no. Life continues after the MBA, obviously. But these 18 months are the perfect time for you to really like think about what you want and reflect about what you want, and also open your mind, no? Open yourself to other options.
Okay, thank you. And Ravi? Thanks, Gabriela.
Trying to think how I should answer this question, because the direct answer would be, yeah, come with an energy mindset and go away from it, which completely beats the purpose of this webinar. So I would say, well, again, so the first point is, you know, just restating what Gabby said. It has been a journey of self-discovery, because I came, as you might imagine, as the audience might imagine, absolutely with an energy background and a mindset, and was absolutely mostly certain that this is the path that I was going to take, which is also why I went for the leadership role, and, you know, took care of the club for 1 whole year. But yeah, things change, you know. During this journey, I discovered that, you know, there are other sectors that are that were more interesting for me, and also vice versa. And now this thing happened. But as also Gabby said, this was for me the biggest takeaway, and I would recommend this to everyone, is more than anything, again, as I said, is networking, because I still have great contacts, still keep contacts with all those energy contacts, contacts from the energy companies that I was in touch with. We still have calls, we meet up, also discuss some sort of strategies, something for the energy club, because I don't know how this happened, but I'm still somehow connected to the energy club at IESE. So now and then I get to do some things. So yeah, I mean, for me, as also Gabby said, keep an open mind, because you never know how you start and what you're going to discover about yourselves.
Okay, thank you to both. Specifically for Gabriela this time, can you explain a little bit how a rotational program in energy works, and what other companies are there in the energy sector that have rotational programs that you know of?
Okay, so in the case of Naturgy, the program works as follows, okay? First of all, you have 2 years of rotation, so you have 12 months of rotation in a corporate position, and another 12 months in a business unit position, okay? The idea is to have an holistic view of the company, to do lots of internal networking, which is super important, to have a higher visibility within the company and also outside the company, of course, and you don't have a specific function, let's say. You work more in different projects with a cross-functional position. Right now, for example, in the unit I'm right now, it's called New Business Development. So we are dealing with different projects. So we have renewable gas, we have electric mobility, distributed generation and storage, LNG bunkering. So very, very different, diverse projects, and I'm working. I'm like, let's say, like the nexus between the different projects and other areas of the company. I'm dealing with all areas related with regulation, so with legislative framework that I was explaining before, with the communication and sponsorship, with relations with associations of the industry. So my first rotation, for example, was on the corporate side. I was very lucky because it was the moment where the group decided to change the brand. So I was immersed in this new brand launch and implementation at the global level. Well, and in other different projects to position the brand and enhance the reputation of the company. And so these are the first part, these 2 years, corporate and business. And then after these 2 years, you join, let's say, a fixed position. With fixed position, I mean a position that is like long-term based. So the idea is that you stay there for more than 1 year. But obviously, things can change because they see you as a very versatile profile. So if they have a need in other department or in other countries, they expect from you that you have certain flexibility and disponibility. So they might change you like 1 year and a half later, you know. But normally, in the third position, it's, let's say, more long-term. And it depends on the opportunities that are internally, but normally you have a responsibility position, okay? Normally you have like, let's say, you're in charge of a team, you're in charge of a certain budget, and your work will have a real impact, let's say, no, within the company. This is the preliminary idea. Obviously, then it depends on the dynamic of the company. Right now, well, I don't know if you've read in the press, but Naturgy is going through a very deep transformation. Lots of changes are going on. So it's true that right now it's more difficult for us, for in my case, myself, that I'm finishing my rotational program. It's complicated to get like a very a good position in terms of responsibility. I will need to have more passion, you know. But normally the idea is for us to be a future leader, a future manager and director of the company, okay? And other companies, to be honest, in Spain, I think it's only Naturgy. Endesa, Iberdrola, like the big ones, are not doing rotational programs right now that I'm aware of. I know, for example, BP has rotational programs also, but I don't know if they are continuing with it right now. And at the global level, other companies in other countries, right now I don't know, to be honest. But in Spain, only Naturgy.
Yeah, I think I can add to Gabby's. I think BP is still continuing with their leadership program. And to add to that, Siemens has theirs. So it's called Siemens Leadership Program. So basically, if you guys want to search, usually they are called these leadership programs. Most of the time, so just type in the company and then type in leadership program, something similar to it on Google, and then you'll be able to find something that is close. Also, a company called Prima Gas, that's one of our corporate sponsors, if you remember, that I showed earlier. They also have a program called 222, which is that they rotate you 2 years, 2 roles, and I think 2 countries, something like that. So yeah, all these big names in the energy industry are now moving towards nurturing their own leadership, as Gabby is in Naturgy.
Okay, thank you. Now, perhaps to close this, because we are over time, but just to wrap up with one last question for both of you, and hope you can answer. So first, what kind of role or functions do MBA graduates usually take in the energy industry, and how has the MBA changed the way that you approach the challenges in the current industry that you are in, which is energy? So yeah, please.
Yeah, you.
Okay. So regarding the roles, I would say that there's a wide variety. Right now, if I see the alumni of IESE who are working at Naturgy and have done the rotational program, they are right now in very different positions, very good positions, but very different ones. Like maybe, well, lots of people are in the financial side, but also in operations or even in marketing. So I wouldn't say a specific role, to be honest. And then the second question, well, I think the method we use at IESE, the business, the case method, gives us like an agility, no, and an ability to have an open mindset to treat problems from different points of views, and always think about solutions and not about problems. No, we always focus on what could be done. And we embrace it, okay? So this is a similarity I see in everyone who has done an MBA who are working right now at Naturgy. We are more open, we are more agile in our way of thinking, we have fresher ideas, we are more dynamic. People who have been working at Naturgy for very, very long time, and this has only been their only experience, have a very specific way of working, of seeing problems, of treating with these problems and seeing solutions, and they don't see any other option. And in our case, we are much more proactive, innovative in every single process, and this is part of our curiosity mindset, but also I think it's part of what we have learned in the MBA. The way we treat problems, the way we see solutions, and the proactivity we put in everything we do. And this is very much appreciated in the energy sector, and now more than ever. Because as I told you before, we are in a moment of transformation, of transition. We need different ways of thinking, different ways of doing things. We are in a regulated market, but lots of our parts also of our value chain are also in the free market. So basically, mainly in this free market, there's a need to think differently and to treat to treat problems in another way, with new business models, with innovation in everything we do, no? And this is something that MBAs provide more than any other one.
Yeah, to the question, I think there are, as Gabby said, 2 or 3 different paths that our alumni have taken in terms of roles and positions post IESE. I think one path is the rotational programs and the leadership programs, not just Naturgy, but also, let's say, we have someone I think who is doing the Siemens program. I think the specific one is CFO excellence or financial excellence, something like this. So this is sort of a short but very intensive path towards becoming the financial, or becoming part of the financial C-suite. And I think we've also had alumni, one of the alumni, for example, who is the European head of Tesla infrastructure. Just make use of LinkedIn, you know, just type IESE Energy and you'll get a lot of hits. You can see where people are. A lot of general management and product development roles as well. Also, please please take this into account as well. Great entrepreneurs in the energy sector. So as Gabby mentioned, this new innovative and this dynamic movement in the energy sector is also pushing a lot of demand towards being entrepreneurial. One of the biggest examples that we have over in Spain is a company called Hola Luz that is started by one of the co-founders is an IESE alumni, has done a lot of put in a lot of hard work, was actually using the IESE meeting rooms as her office. Really great story. You know, if you could go and look into this company, it's called Hola Luz, like HOLALUZ. A great example, you know, absolutely amazing lady. You can, you know, reach out to her and speak to her. And also, you know, we have all sorts of examples coming out from IESE alumni who have taken different paths in energy, different roles, different positions. So it's great. Again, as Gabby said, it's what the IESE at the end has to offer, and it offers great. Also, the club does a lot of activities in supporting together with career services. As I said, it's the students who shape the club and the activities and the networking in a way that the co-students would take benefit from. So at the end of the day, it's you helping yourself and your co-students, as I mentioned before. So yeah.
Okay, Ravi and Gabriela, thank you so much for the time that you've spent with us and the time that you've shared with your experiences to all these people. And for the participants, you will receive the recording tomorrow. And on top of that, you'll also receive an invite to the next webinar on consumer goods with our alumni from Nike and AB InBev for July 23. I hope you have learned something, and we really hope that this time has been fruitful for you. And don't forget to follow us here on social media in the site so that you can keep track of the upcoming events. And again, Ravi and Gabriela, we really appreciate your time and thank you for being with us today. We wish you a good rest of the week ahead. Bye.
Thanks, Karen.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Gabby. Thanks, Gabriela.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.